About a decade ago, I was given a data set of wounded soldiers, and I connected it to geography, and then I showed that it was difficult for wounded individuals who were designated as wounded by the Department of Defense. It was difficult for them to get to care. And I looked at all the different kinds of care that you can identify, from speech pathology to physical therapy to trauma, because I wanted to know whether or not in this period of conflict that there was a consequence that we needed to be paying attention to. That led to needing to investigate how all the benefits worked for the veterans, and also to understand what the relationship was between the military health care, and ultimately somebody who was an active duty soldier, Marine, or sailor. 2 years ago, the state of Massachusetts contacted me to really just come down and talk to them about how to think about long-term care for veterans. Massachusetts has a very high-quality program for veterans. We're one of the best in the country in terms of the kind of benefits that we provide. With that said, we also have a very strong sense of responsibility for the veterans that live in the state. And I say that because I sit on the commission now looking at long-term care issues, and it's mostly populated by veterans. That study was designed to do a couple of things. It was designed to look at what the demography was of the veterans population and to get some idea of what was going to happen over time. And we were also interested in where they were and the extent to which they had access to such things as long-term care facilities. States typically have managed what are called veterans homes. So there are state-level veterans homes and there are federal veterans homes. And in Massachusetts, we have 2 state homes, one in Holyoke and one in Chelsea. And we were interested in what was the spatial distribution of the veterans in the state, and then where were people coming from and then going to those 2 homes. And we answered the question, which was, how far was it from the home of the person who was in the long-term care in either Chelsea and Holyoke, and what would be the impact on their family if that was the place that they came for long-term care. And what we found was that in the Chelsea case, the spatial distribution of people living there actually was quite dispersed, and it was all the way down the Cape, and it was, north, whereas in Holyoke the population was much more geographically concentrated. In doing all of this, we also looked at what the long-term care situation was in the state, and we noticed that there was a growing fraction of the long-term care beds that were actually empty. And that's because the cost of long-term care is so high that we have migrated to a system of trying to keep people in their homes for as long as possible. The other part of looking at the 2 homes was the extent to which they were meeting the standards and expectations of what we call modern long-term care. And in both cases, the facilities are run by absolutely stunning staff, but like all federal facilities, they may actually need to have some upgrades. So after we did the report, a commission was established, and the commission now stands and is looking at the long-term care needs and the question about, should we have dispersed care provision? That is, should we buy spaces in long-term care facilities so people don't have to travel so far from their families? Do we want to think about the fact that maybe the population of veterans today will want something different than the veterans of the Vietnam War or the Second World War eras? And what we do know anecdotally is that they want to live with their families and they want to live with their communities. So that means the state's got to think about a completely new way of managing the question of long-term care.